But we will pepper the rest of this hour with your calls. John in Wyoming, Ken and Justin. Those will be the 3 calls I have time for. We got more military sources actually calling in. And I've done a lot of research on this. These are very accurate callers that are calling in, giving us info. Because obviously I haven't told everything I know, not all of it, because I don't want to give away the source of the missing nuke story. If I get one more email or comment, though, about there aren't nukes at Dias under the treaty. That's the whole point. They pulled nukes out that weren't supposed to be there. And the base security was freaking out about it. The other officers were. And they had to have the base commander come out and say, no, this is authorized. And they went on the trucks. And the police went as far to go, where are these going? And they said, South Carolina is what we're told. To the Special Forces security people from Florida that were there picking them up. Okay? And then we find out Lindsey Graham is running around saying South Carolina is going to be nuked by Syria if we don't attack them. CBS News. The story's up on Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com. And I hope the two things aren't connected. But you had the Minot situation with the cruise missiles that came up missing a few years ago, and then no one would say who gave the order, and everybody involved loading them got killed, committed suicide, or died. So this is a big deal. Okay, and I don't like having to report this. It's very dangerous, I'll be honest with you. The fact that I'm talking about it being dangerous may protect us a little bit, but my gut tells me this is really dangerous area to be involved in. But you know what? I am not going to play games. And it's going to take that attitude from everybody that's going to change things, like the folks that let us know about this going on. Now, Dr. Francis Boyle is obviously a guest every few months on the show, very informative. And I'm not going to go over his old bios. We'll take up all the time. But he has a Ph.D. in political science from Harvard University, top of his class there. And he's a best-selling author as well. His most recent book, Destroying Libya and the New World Order, the 3 decades U.S. campaign to terminate the Gaddafi revolution. He's an expert on Syria, traveled the whole world. He went to the special Ph.D. They only give one of a year. People like Brzezinski and Kissinger. He was being groomed, one of their top guys, but has been exposing him when he found out the whole plan. And that's why he's on a no-fly list and is harassed and demonized. He also helped write U.S. chemical biological weapons treaties. He doesn't like having his horn tooted, but he's a top expert, and he joins us here today. We only got like 3 minutes. We got a break. Long segment coming up, Dr. Boyle. But you've heard me mention what's happening with these missing nukes. All the other, Putin saying he'll now arm Syria more. Russian, Chinese troop ships showing up. Battle cruisers, missile cruisers. You look at the scary neocons with Obama, really creepy people. I mean, my gut tells me we're in the most dangerous place historically since the Cuban Missile Crisis, but instead of having John F. Kennedy as president, we've got something like Jack T. Ripper in charge. What is your gut and your intel telling you, Dr. Boyle?
Yes, it is extremely dangerous, Alex, as you were pointing out. As you know, just earlier this week, Israel launched a ballistic missile in the general direction of Russia with the support of the Pentagon, forcing the Russians to put their nuclear forces on alert. My understanding is they're still on alert.
Yeah, they're in bunkers.
That's correct. And this is shaping up like the Cuban Missile Crisis, which I lived through. You have the 5 Russian ships that have interposed themselves off the coast of Syria. The Chinese ship is now joining them. So it appears that Russia and China have decided to draw a red line at Syria. They did sacrifice Libya, but it does appear they've decided to make a stand here. Obama got nowhere with Putin in St. Petersburg. So I'm afraid that if we don't stop Obama right away, we could be seeing a regional war here that evolves into World War III. If you look at the resolution that Obama sent to Congress, it clearly calls for the authorization to use military force against Iran and Russia. So that's...
Well, it says anywhere in the world, yeah, basically.
Basically, but it's clear. It says anyone that supports Syria, and that means Iran, that means Russia, it now means China, Hezbollah, the Palestinians in Gaza. So basically, anyone Obama decides he wants to take out, he can take out. Also, U.S., our report, the Wall Street Journal is saying, oh, well, those Russian ships are sending intel back to Syria, which, of course, means they'll take those Russian ships out. Stay
there, Doctor. We're going to come right back out at that point. And then I want to talk about Iran, one of their top members of their expert council that elects the Ayatollah. He's talking about how they're going to rape Obama's daughter and stuff. I mean, this is really escalating quickly.
Now you can watch Alex Jones live at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
You can also browse the network, the InfoWars Nightly News,
and over 60 movies and documentaries all together in one place.
You can watch the Alex Jones radio show live as it happened.
So check it out, Infowars.com/show.
Let's get one thing straight here. The people running our government are illegitimate, and they hate America, and they hate our freedom. Everything they say about the terrorists who they now publicly run in Libya, in Syria, in Egypt. And I look at the strategy of tension, the Brzezinski-type plan, and of course our guest knows all these people intimately, and it is madness. It's like Hitler turning east into Russia or Napoleon. This is what they do when they're at the end of their power, and all their crimes are coming in, to basically bring them down. They will flee forward and start some giant event. And you've got all of these scandals, 7 big scandals, NSA, Fast and Furious, IRS gate, persecuting the media, the whistleblowers, all of it. And I see these Democratic Congress people in the news saying, well, we've got to be loyal to Obama. It's so immoral that Chris Matthews and all these people say on TV, we played the clips this week, well, we got to do this for Obama. It's all about their club and their little almost like Hitlerian group and the neocons with them and all these weirdos who think war is cool and global domination and showing Assad. And then Iran has got a bunch of unstable lunatics as well running it. I mean, and they're saying, good, let the World War III begin. We will kill you. We're going to kidnap all your families and murder you. By the way, this happened back during the 80s. They were grabbing CIA section chiefs, killing them, torturing them. I mean, look, they may not have to stage terror attacks if they attack Syria and Iran. They do have sleeper cells. And see, that's the false flag. Start a fight, then the asymmetrical warfare comes back by groups that have no other way to fight back but like that. You get them in a wild killing frenzy, a homicidal death commando mood that the Persians will certainly get into. Over 1 million of them died in that Iran-Iraq war, the West stage. They're sick of it. And they're going to take all our rights under this conflagration. Now, I'm ranting here. Dr. Francis Boyle, who's helped write chemical and biological weapons treaties, was basically trained by all these guys, knows them well. You know their psychology. But this is bigger than just a few cruise missiles to divert off the scandals. I mean, they're massing B-1 and B-2s and Diego Garcia out in the ocean there south of the Persian Gulf. They're moving nukes around. They're got troop ships loaded with Marines. That's confirmed. They got plans for 75,000 troops. They were massing troops months ago in Jordan and Gaza. I mean, they're lined up, it looks like, not just for a regional war, but a war with Russia. And is that what Homeland Security was for, was to get ready for COG, for a survivable nuke war? Are these people completely certifiably insane? You know them. You've worked with them. Tell us, Doctor, what we're facing.
Well, Alex, what we're seeing now is the unfolding of a very elaborate war plan by the Pentagon, the CIA, the so-called power ministries, as we used to say in the Soviet Union. They know exactly what they're doing. This is a chess game as they see it. They hit Syria, Syria responds, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, culminating in Iran. And then Russia, whenever we take out those ships, will have to decide, Putin will have to decide, do we fight or do we let the 5 ships go? Not only is this a war plan, but on all war plans, before they execute them, and you've been pointing out the stages here, these are all stages, it's a war plan, it has also been war gamed. So they already know what the steps are and will be. And from my perspective here, having been through the same PhD program that produced Kissinger and Brzezinski, they gave me Kissinger's old office. I think this is it, that all this talk about, hitting Iran down the line, they're going to take Iran out now. And then it will be up to Putin to decide when they take out his 5 ships there off the coast of Syria, will he fight or he won't? And I don't know what Putin will do, except that you recall during the war, during the
Georgia
back. Well, of course, we came very close to
888. Yeah.
And he did fight back there. And we basically sacrificed Georgia, and then we pulled back. But Putin did say that earlier he did mention a Cuban Missile Crisis in reverse, and he did say this could set off World War III. Remember, Putin is KGB. He's a very tough man, a lot tougher than Obama, who's basically a front man, pretty much like Bush Jr. or Reagan before him. They put him in there. They give him the lines to read. He's very good.
Well, Doctor, let me just throw this out again. I want you to continue on that point. I'm interrupting. Look, I understand it's all war gamed out with computers and geopolitical. They admit that. Wesley Clark blew the whistle on it, 7-nation plan. I understand, but still, Hitler had plans too. I'm saying fundamentally, these are insane people. I can look at them and the way they act, that group of senators and people, and the National Security Council, these people all have psychopathic-looking eyes. These are all people, this is like their fun is doing this, and they've all got bunkers, their grandkids have got bunkers, and I think they all need to be arrested. I mean, I'm willing to risk my life saying that on air. I've had enough of these people. I've had enough of their crap. Now, I'm asking you about their mindset, Doctor, because you know them.
Yeah, I went through the same program at Harvard, and then at the University of Chicago with all the neocons there. These people are psychopathic. There's no question about it. And they are brainwashed at these elite institutions like Chicago and Harvard to do this type of work. But we have to understand you can be a psychopath and yet still be extremely rational and calculating.
Highly functioning psychopath.
That is correct. The same was true with Bush Jr. So with all due respect, Alice, I don't know exactly how far it gets us to say they're insane, but I think the correct term is psychopathic or sociopathic. Either one, I think, is a correct. But
isn't it insane risking thermonuclear war just because they will have a score to settle with Assad?
I think their calculation is that Putin will back down. That they can take Syria and, if necessary, Iran, and that Putin will back down because we and the Chinese, at the end of the day, will back down because we have an offensive first strike strategic nuclear weapons capability that can take out the Russian nuclear forces and the Chinese forces in a first strike.
You're talking about cruise missiles?
I'm talking about the whole complex of everything we have, including ICBMs, SLBMs, the B-2s, B-1s, B-52s.
And don't forget the secret projects.
That is correct. But this has already been written about in Foreign Affairs and things of that we do have and I've written an article about it if you want to see on the internet, and Obama has approved a first strike strategic nuclear war plan against Russia.
Yeah, I saw that article. Give us the name. We'll pull it up on screen for TV viewers. Dr. Boyle.
Well, it's just Obama plans first strike nuclear war. If you hit my name, it should come out.
Dr. Francis Boyle, Obama plans first strike nuclear war. Yeah, they've admitted that first strike a few years ago, and it's crazy because at a certain point, it's got to give. You've got all these control freaks building giant NSA bases, setting up domestic takeover groups. How do the American people play in when you've got 99% Congress is now saying in phone calls It's actually 520-something to 4 is what it's coming in on the phone calls on average. So that's more than 99%. I think it's like 99.5 or something. If you do the math, we did it last night in an article. I mean, I see the facade, though, on government falling. Everyone I know now is apologizing to me and saying it's all true. I'm not just saying that. I mean, it's like everyone I know now, it's like a mass. Is that a survival instinct, do you think? And how big do you think the awakening is? And does that matter? Or is that even more of a reason to get a big war going to try to shut down the awakening?
Well, as you know, I started an impeachment campaign against Obama. And it's really, last week I launched it, and it's really taking off. And I've heard from a lot of people, and I think the scales are falling from their eyes on Obama. That's correct. But you know, still, our members of Congress will respond to public pressure. Notice Senator McCain, the tongue lashing he got there at a town forum. And now he's saying if Obama puts boots on the ground in Syria, he'll be impeached. The New York Times today said Obama fears impeachment. So I think what we have to do is put the fear of impeachment into Obama immediately.
Well, what about the people advising him? They're the people that once this all flushes out, I want hearings. I want to start arresting these people, because what Wesley Clark talks about, a plan to hit 7 nations that didn't do anything, that's a war crime.
That's correct. And in my Libya book, I point out, I cite General Clark's memoirs, and I compare it to the Nuremberg judgment, where Nuremberg condemned the Nazis for waging offensive war against 12 states, and Obama, the Clark plan had 7, and then you have to add in there Yemen and Pakistan. So the Obama people are already at 9 or 10, depending on how you want to count it. That's correct.
And by the way, folks, I don't like getting up here saying, I don't usually talk like this, saying arrest these people. I love my kids, and I love the future of humanity. And I'm telling you, I've studied history. Even if Russia backs down this time or later, well, the type of world they're building will end up being in some giant chemical or biological or nuclear war. And these guys think they're going to survive it. The whole infrastructure they're building is so they can have global domination. We shouldn't give in to the mental illness of global domination of these megalomaniacs. Let's play one of the clips of Wesley Clark, the former head general of NATO, who was brought into the Pentagon with the plan to invade 7 countries. Here it is.
I went through the Pentagon 10 days after 9/11, and an officer from the Joint Staff called me into his office and said, I want you to know, he said, sir, we're going to attack Iraq. And I said, why? He said, we don't know. And then I came back to the Pentagon about 6 weeks later. I saw the same officer. I said, why haven't we attacked Iraq? We still going to attack Iraq? He said, oh, sir, he says, it's worse than that. He said, I just got this memo from the Secretary of Defense's office that says we're going to attack and destroy the governments in 7 countries in 5 years.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is not a video game. Dr. Boyle?
That's correct. As a matter of fact, right after 9/11, Deputy Secretary of Defense Wolfowitz came out and said the United States government was going to get in the business of destroying states. That was his exact words, destroying states. And that plan was, that General Clark discussed, was drawn up pursuant to this diktat by Wolfowitz. And I went through the same neocon program at Harvard, at Chicago, that produced Wolfowitz. He got his PhD in international relations there. Well, I got my bachelor's degree in international relations. It's neocon heaven up there.
And they teach you that being more evil than evil is actually virtuous, that command destruction, that you are the enlightened one, everyone else is dogs, basically, correct?
Well, it's even worse than that, in that the godfather for the neocons was Carl Schmitt, who was the leading Nazi jurist of that era. He justified every hideous atrocity that Hitler inflicted on everyone, including the Jews. His student and protege was Leo Strauss.
That's right.
Who founded the neocon movement at Chicago. I arrived there right after Strauss had retired, but I studied with his top student, right-hand man, Joseph Cropsey. But Wolfowitz had arrived to study with Strauss and the whole neocon cabal there at Chicago. So I have to understand, certainly in the neocons, this is neo-Nazism.
I noticed Cass Sunstein has a similar pedigree as you, but you didn't go, serve the emperor after you got trained by him. So understanding this, of course, he's saying play us off against each other, total war on the people. I just can't believe they publish all this stuff.
They do publish it, which is good. You can read about the plans. Sunstein is a closet neocon, spent most of his career at the University of Chicago, and then
Harvard.
He started out, he's a student at Harvard.
Yeah.
But then he taught at Chicago. There he met Obama and Elena Kagan, now in the Supreme Court. To make a long story short, Kagan licked the boots of Larry Summers to become president of Dean of Harvard Law School, and then she hired Sunstein. We know for a fact, as I'm sure you're documented, Sunstein is in charge of was in charge of Obama's internet infiltration policy.
Cognitive infiltration.
That's right. And his wife is Samantha Power at the Security Council.
Fear-mongering.
Warmongering.
Yeah.
That's right.
She's a war whore. These people are, they're incalculably evil, is what I hope listeners understand. We're going to go back to calls here in a moment, but sir, and I want to get your take on what these callers have to say. Have you heard about my report about missing nukes from an Air Force base? And then now Lindsey Graham says support war or the West Coast is going to be nuked?
Well, yes, it does remind me of the point Cheney made as vice president, that the next major terrorist act that goes off, we're going to blame it on Iran and go to Iran. So, yes, there is a potential of a false flag here, sure.
I just can't believe it's all happening. But I guess for every generation that goes through a real tyranny, it's like people always say, we couldn't believe it was happening. And I feel like I'm in slow motion here, like when you're in a car wreck right before the other car hits you. Is there any way to stop these people?
Well, 2 points. One, September 9, Congress reconvenes. And we need a member of the House to immediately put in a bill of impeachment against Obama. The House is controlled by the Republicans. They impeached Clinton over fellatio and lying about fellatio. They could certainly impeach Obama immediately without hearings. In fact, it can all be done orally and on a voice vote. That would then send it off to a Senate for a trial that would bottle up, hopefully, Obama. Indeed, today's New York Times says Obama does not want to get impeached because it would bottle him up in the Senate. And then second, we all still have our First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, freedom of association.
Well, I mean, as a top constitutional lawyer, I should have added that to your long repertoire. If the Justice Department's run by him, does the Congress then also impeach his Attorney General? And then, or do we have a state grand jury indict him? I mean, how do we arrest these people?
Well, I've already taken a position a year ago that Holder should have been impeached for publicly advocating and approving the murder of United States citizens in violation of the Fifth Amendment to the United States.
Sure, backing NDAA. Stay there and explain to us the constitutional path to clap these people in irons. We'll be right back. Before they start nuclear war, or we can just sacrifice our kids on the fiery altar of conflagration. I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com. See, folks, what they do is these global criminals is they get these big councils going. They create false pretenses and then launch wars by committee so one person can't get in trouble and be blamed. Obama got cold feet and then went to Congress to get them to certify it, but now that's blowing up in his face. I don't get up here on air with a sizable audience of 3 million and say they should be arrested for nothing. I mean, they could kill me or arrest me or set me up very easily. If they do, that's a price I pay because I don't want nuclear war to happen, okay? I'm a serious person. And I know Dr. Boyle is a serious person. We're not trying to sit here and, like, hype this up. There's no way to hype how serious this is with Vladimir Putin talking about nuclear war, okay? And if you study criminology and the past elites, you know, I'm surprised we haven't killed ourselves so far. And Dr. Boyle, just briefly, then we're going to let you go and go to calls. I appreciate all your time. What is the path? Obviously, I think impeachment threats are important. The Congress is backing off. They're getting scared. Obama came out today and said, I'll go ahead anyway. So he's obviously being told to do this. What do we do then when these people are trying to start aggressive, illegal, Hitlerian war?
Well, first, on Obama, you know, on all these people, we have to impeach, certainly Obama, and Holder would be good, too, and get them out of office, and then we can worry about prosecuting him. There are also citizens' arrests. You could check with a local attorney in your jurisdiction about the common law doctrine of citizen arrest to see if that is available and what the circumstances might be.
Now, I know that's in law, but they make a joke out of it. But I mean, then they just call you a terrorist. But I guess it would be a good PR stunt, at least.
Well, under the circumstances, it might be something to consider. But I'm not advocating anyone to do this unless you seek advice and counsel from a local attorney familiar with either the common law or statutory law in your jurisdiction. And then third, we need massive numbers of American citizens to take to the streets peaceful, nonviolent protests against a war. We need Democrats and Republicans, liberals, libertarians, conservatives.
I agree. Why do you think we have such an incredible unification of even Glenn Beck saying we should demonstrate and Rush Limbaugh saying looks like a false flag, and Pat Buchanan and Matt Drudge and Ron Paul? I mean, it's across the spectrum. People understand this is really dangerous.
That's correct. I lived through the Cuban Missile Crisis, and that's what spurred me to study international relations. I had grown up to believe Kennedy was a good president, and when the crisis was all over, I thought, you know, he's insane, and I could do a better job than this, but I better study it. So I think we're now seeing the Obama emperor wears no clothes, and all of his associates, and how dangerous and sociopathic these people really are to the entire world, and especially here in America, to our Constitution, our republic. Indeed, Obama is worse than Bush. Not only did he do all the police state practices, but as you were mentioning before, the NDAA, Senator Levin told us that it was Obama himself.
Oh, yeah.
Insisted that that it applied to
Dr. Boyle, briefly, what's your assessment of Putin?
Putin's a very tough man. He is KGB to the core. He's a lot tougher than Obama. So I don't know if he's going to back down. If we take out those those Russian ships, I don't know if he's going to back down. I can't say. I think it's a mistake on the part of these Obama people to believe he does. But remember, Obama's top advisor on this is Brzezinski, and he's a certified sociopath. I went through the same program at Harvard that produced him.
Incredible. I know. Dr. Boyle, we'll talk to you again soon. Next week, if you can do it. I'll be back Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Coming up with more phone calls straight ahead. Thank you, Dr. Boyle. Folks, pray for peace. Thank you, sir.
Now you can watch the InfoWars Nightly News streaming live as it happens for free.
Check it out at Infowars.com/show.